Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast. This time, it's episode 241? Yeah, 241. We're recording on November 2nd, 2017. You're watching it on the 3rd or later. We've got concerning news out of Gazillion Entertainment and a questionable future for Marvel heroes, particularly on the PC. We're going to talk about our Frankenstein monster games that we teased last week and get to yours, and we've got a first look to review. Speaking of Frankenstein's monster. But first, let's introduce the panel. With me, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
It wasn't anything to do with Frankenstein. Rather, I got into some radiation, and it did this to my hair.
I see that. So the Halloween stream went well, I take it?
Yeah, pretty decent. I died a lot and got scared a lot, so, you know.
What were we
But if
playing?
you were exposed to radiation, what superpowers did you get?
The ability to sit on my ass for 10 hours and do absolutely nothing.
Attaboy.
Without getting leg embolisms. Nice job. Well done.
Well, I have those. I have
have-
something going on, but anyway.
You have chosen powers wisely. What game were you streaming for Halloween?
Betrayer.
Ah, all right. Also on the line, you heard him, but you didn't see him, so now I'll let you see him so that you can get all of your bless hate. Oh my god, the YouTube comments were fun. Mr. Troy Blackburn, what's up, Noob Fridge?
Man, I've been awake for 3 hours, and I had dreams last night that Bless Online was a good game. Then I woke up and realized that's a dream.
Oh boy, the sheer number of YouTube comments. You had some hashtags trending in our comments.
Hey, at least I got some kind of hashtag.
I couldn't put them all in here, but I did select a fine sampling to give everybody a kind of flavor. Including Up Yours Troy, Bless is back, LOL. And then we had more, Bless news anyway, so they're talking monetization now, so we won't be going in-depth on this show, but first, let's go into some fun stuff we did for Halloween, game world-wise. Let's get started with the news. Where the hell's my news bump? There it is. All right, so Jason posed the question to everybody on the MMO Bomb staff. If you could combine two predominantly MMO, but we kind of opened it up to more, anything online, companies to create a game. Now, you could just put two companies together because you think they're so polar opposites, nothing at all would get done, or because you had a game in mind that you wanted to see, or potentially see, and take advantage of both studios' creative talents and strengths, mash them together, and we asked you for your feedback as well. We'll get to yours when we get back to the viewer question of the week at the end of the show, but we put up 5, one for myself, one for Jason, Troy, Q, and Zach, everybody on the staff. Now, obviously, to get Q's or Zach's, you're gonna have to head over to the article because they are not on the show, but I thought it's a couple days after Halloween. Jason still got the green hair, so let's talk about ours. Jason, why don't you kick us off here?
All right, well, I went with a combination of Grinding Gear Games and ArenaNet. Grind Arena.
So
I love the name because that's what you'll be doing in this game, is grinding an arena.
So we're looking at what? Influences from Path of Exile and Guild Wars 2 predominantly, right?
Yeah, basically. Because like I said, every time I do these interviews with the guys from Path of Exile, it sounds great. They talk about all the great stuff they're doing. I even think I like how their loot boxes work, which is amazing. They appear to be doing even that sort of right. But I just don't like ARPGs. They just...
It's funny that you say that. I just read in last month's Game Informer, they did a review, their official review for Path of Exile Fall of Oriath expansion, and I'm reading through it, and I'm like, God damn, this sounds really good. I really want to... No, I ain't gonna jump in. Exactly. I do the same thing. And I like ARPGs, Torchlight, Diablo, love them and stuff, and I've played Path of Exile off and on, but I don't know what it is about the game. It doesn't do anything wrong by me. I just can't jump into it the way I can for Diablo and play it for weeks and for hours and hours and hours and then not touch it for a few months. I feel like Path of Exile is one that if I was going to play, I'd probably have to stick with more, and maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, because you got to spend all your time figuring out your build with that skill tree.
And then realizing you screwed it up so bad.
Yeah, that's like 3/4 of your time. Actually playing the game is otherwise. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the issue. But, on the other hand, I still, even now, years later, when I've had some issues or whatever, I still like ArenaNet's overall approach to a lot of their things. Love their inventory management.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, their general vision and the way they at least used to communicate a lot better their sort of things and why they did things the way they did. I really like that. So it's like I kind of wish I could get those two to combine, to bring in a lot of the elements of a game that I don't play that sounds like I would like it, with a game that I have played a lot of and did like a lot, just is kind of weak with some of the other presentation aspects.
So what kind of game would we be looking at? I mean, you do have two wildly different genres there in very traditional MMORPG and then on the ARPG side. So loot and stuff like that notwithstanding, what type of game would we be looking at?
I mean, I don't dispute, like as Troy said, that I'll be doing a lot of grinding in this game. Yeah, I mean, you do that in Guild Wars too, when you're trying to get legendary weapons or whatever. But I mean, I think I could see a game that's maybe a little like kind of in between the Guild Wars 2 tries to do all the open world and questing in their form and so on, and it's not quite as repetitive and just go through the same instance over and over as Path to Exile is. But I think they can kind of combine those two approaches to get you something that sort of does a little bit on one end and sort of a little on the other to make it something that feels good enough like an open world MMO, like the sort of thing we all want to have. But admittedly, if you're going to have to grind in one of those kind of games anyway and repeat stuff anyway, so might as well at least do it right. And grinding your game seems to do a pretty good job of doing that. So,
Jason, can you angle your camera down a little? It looks like we lost the initial frame, and your chin is...
hair. This is all you need, right?
Yeah, just that. Now you're all hidden behind your lower third except your hair.
The problem is, I'm zoomed in so fast.
No, you're good. You're good. Let's see.
There we go. See, this is so much better.
There you go. That'll work.
There we go. I just got to go back.
There's that sexy, cynical man we know so well.
He's wearing a Dreadnought shirt, too. I have that shirt. And you told me I would have worn mine. So my mashup, I went with a company, two companies very near and dear to my heart currently. One for a long time now, and one is in my good graces, but slowly sliding into not my good graces right now. But that's a whole different story for a totally different time. I invented the company Squeegee, because I think that works. Everybody knows it. Just a little...
You can clean your monitor with them, too.
Little squeegee. And, of course, that would be Square Enix from Final Fantasy XIV fame in the MMO space, Final Fantasy XI as well, and Bungie, who doing very well on the Destiny side of things. Destiny 2 doing very well financially, if not being critically accepted at the moment as people are getting further and further into it. Hopefully we'll see some things change that make the endgame a lot better, but obviously I did this for a very particular reason, right? What is the one thing, Troy, that Destiny, particularly the original, was not known for?
Story.
It's story. What is one thing that Final Fantasy has always been known for?
Mike's fanboyism.
That too, but also story.
Guys with incredibly huge swords.
Yes, so I took a company with a history in the entire Final Fantasy franchise and other RPG franchises as well, Chrono Trigger, The Secret of Mana, and all that fun stuff. Very, very steeped in storytelling, and put them with a company that I think can deliver compelling gameplay, but maybe isn't quite there on the systems and the story and the delivery. And I think those two marry up very nicely. Now, I don't know if in my ideal world, Jason, this becomes an MMORPG more towards the Square Enix side of things, or if we go the first-person shooter route, sci-fi, kind of like the Destiny side of things. I think I'm fine either way, or marry the two in any way you want. I just think we'd end up getting what is fun gameplay in what Bungie can deliver, with the consistency, timing, and storytelling, and better core systems, particularly matchmaking, from Square Enix. Hence, Squeegee. Let's make that one happen. Hashtag make Squeegee great again. Or make Squeegee great, I think should just be the hashtag. Not again. It didn't happen. So that was mine. Troy, what about yours?
I take two companies and sort of mesh them to sort of build on a game that we've all talked about and sort of agreed to, at least to an extent, had some problems. And my game company is Rito Labs. And because if you don't meme lord your game company these days, you're just doing it wrong. This is a combination of Riot Games and Phoenix Labs. Phoenix Labs, of course, is the company behind Dauntless, and Riot Games, as I'm sure everybody probably knows, League of Legends. making money hand over fist, a lot of creativity, a lot of originality goes out with the release of multiple heroes. Yeah, there's always rehash, but they at least do it in a unique way and make unique kits out of it. So what I'm doing, I'm taking the base game of Dauntless that Phoenix Labs has created, using their experience and obvious love for the Monster Hunter genre.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a type of Monster Hunter-ish game.
Mm-hmm. And I'm taking the creativity and the ability to push out unique fight mechanics and kits, and letting Riot step in and take over the bosses, the monsters that we're hunting, and give them more uniqueness, looks, abilities, the way the fight works out. And also, it wouldn't hurt for them to take a look at the player character abilities as well, and sort of flesh those out and really give each class a very unique feel. So we're sort of sticking with the game that is Dauntless, but bringing in some experience to sort of take that game to the next level with Riot.
Interesting. With something like that, Jason, you and I were kind of lukewarm on Dauntless, and I'm a big Monster Hunter fan. You're generally just, it's not one of your things, never dabbled too much into it. But both of us were pretty just lukewarm, and I know that some of our concerns with Dauntless were initially the number of behemoths, and the varied look and mechanics of them, and they addressed the mechanic side, but you can only reskin something so many times and give it a new mechanic set and call it different before people go, no, that's not different anymore, please stop. And also, on the player side, we felt like, yeah, I mean, they feel a little different with their weapon abilities, but ultimately, we're all in there just swinging away and dodging at the right times. And so, I kind of see where Troy's going. Do you think Riot can help fix that?
Well, I think the other point you could bring up, too, is, like you said, everybody's going and swinging their weapons. Like when you play League of Legends, you got to work together as a team to get stuff to happen. That doesn't really seem to be the case in Dauntless. Like you said, just a bunch of individuals swinging their stuff. So yeah, introducing some sort of more planned together, coordinated activity would also be something that I think could really help out.
Although Dauntless did do something that, Troy, I know you're gonna like this week. I'm not gonna mention it until we get down to the bombs, because that's my bomb. But more to come on Dauntless, and a financial decision that, I don't know, may work out, may not. We'll see. I have some concerns with it. So those were our 3 Frankenstein's Monster games. If you want Q's and Zach's, check it out on the website. We'll put a link in the article in the description here below. And then, of course, we've got a ton of viewers that chimed in on that question of the week last week, so we've got a lot of combinations to talk through when we get down below to the question of the week. Next up, Troy, your favorite game ever. And we're not talking about Bless. Save your hashtags. Your favorite game ever. Having some concerns, and you've expressed some of these concerns for a few months now, echoing other PC players online as well. I mean, these thoughts weren't exclusive to you, but you were candid enough to share them on the show, with Marvel Heroes kind of going the way of the dodo, the very silent dodo. Maybe going the way of Firefall is the better way to say it. Just nobody said anything anymore. That's what I mean by that reference, by the way. Not that the game's going to shut down tomorrow and nobody will know. It might, but that's not what I'm implying. I'm implying that the feedback went from steady to nothing, and there wasn't even a blurb about it. So Gazillion having a bit of a rough time right now, and obviously compounding the situation, accusations of some inappropriate conduct against CEO Dave Dorman, alleged misconduct on his side. I say allegedly now because I don't have court documents and shit in front of me to say, dude did it, dude didn't do it. I wish I did. We will be following this aspect of the story further as we go along. Obviously, any type of misconduct like what is being alleged to have happened by Dave Dorman is absolutely inexcusable. I think everybody on this panel would agree to that. Absolutely inexcusable, needs to be addressed, and maybe not just by the HR of the company, depending on what happens to be factual and what isn't. There are 2 things that I do want to leave you with on that portion of the discussion first. Troy, I'm going to turn this over to you. Jeff Doom saw Danaeus?
I think it's Danae.
Danae? French, makes sense. Doomsaw from the Marvel Heroes, very public face, did have something to say on those allegations. Massively OP reported this story, by the way, and we're still watching it as well. They did get a statement from Gazillion, and it did include a little piece about these accusations against their current CEO. But I think it's important, Troy, that to get the information out there, Doomsaw did have something to go on record with on the topic of these allegations. They're not just wildly out of nowhere. This perhaps makes me a little concerned that some of these things may end up panning out to be true.
Yeah, he took to Reddit a couple of weeks back when some of these allegations have been floating around as internet rumor for actually a few months now. And recently they've been coming more to the forefront. So he stepped up a couple of weeks ago and took to Reddit. And he made a statement regarding the current CEO, Dave Dorman. And what he said was, quote, "I knew about his behavior a couple of years ago, as did the members of the board from that time and other executives in the company even before they made him CEO. I could have said something, and they certainly had the power to do something about it. I know they feared that Marvel would find out and it would harm the license renewals or the business, but that's no excuse. I didn't say very much because I had friends at the company, and still do, and I didn't want them to lose the Marvel license and have to close the company. But reasons like that are why people get away with it for so long." Unquote.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's we're seeing a lot of that with the Harvey Weinstein and all that stuff here in the United States, and the abuse of power in these situations, and the fear of losing a license, losing a career, losing that, making it a very delicate situation for anybody in these situations. You have our condolences, our thoughts, and obviously, if any of us could help you in any way, feel free. Gazillion did reply at the request of Massively OP, reaching out to them again. Kudos to Massively OP following this story as well. And I'm going to read their statement in full, just so that nothing gets taken out of context or has any inflection on it that is not meant to be there. Again, we are dealing with alleged situations, so in the interest of protecting ourselves, we want to read their statement in full. Gazillion would like to assure everyone that the company is functioning normally. We remain a strong publisher-developer with many talented individuals working hard daily to keep us that way. Yes, we just lost 2 remote community representatives, but that's not super abnormal in games. We love them both, wish them all the best in the world, and will gladly welcome them back if their next adventure doesn't work out. Regarding allegations related to Gazillion's staff, if there were indeed any reported cases of harassment here at Gazillion, they would be handled with the utmost seriousness, respect, and confidentiality due the complainant and in accordance with California law and company policy. We have absolutely zero tolerance for harassment. It is maybe worth pointing out that all information related to this issue thus far has come from unsubstantiated internet accusations, which in most cases themselves come from other unsubstantiated accounts found on the internet. End quote. Troy, I don't know about you. Jason, I don't know about you, but that statement should have probably stopped after we have absolutely zero tolerance for harassment.
Yeah.
And that entire last paragraph just deleted. I don't know how that made it out to Massively without somebody at PR saying, this sounds like we're calling them liars, right? I mean, there's no other way to read that last sentence. They definitely should have cut that. Compound this, Troy, with David Brevik and his wife kind of mouthing off about the topic. Mouthing off's a bad word. David was actually very PR about it, realizing that his view may be taken by some as jaded or sour grapes not being with Gazillion. His wife, maybe not so maybe not
she
so
has
coy.
never been shy with her opinion, let's put it that way.
So there's a lot going on there. We'll stay on that topic. I think we can just sum it up with, we've read you both points of view. We're still following it. If any of these allegations are true, they need to be addressed immediately. And to me, if they aren't, then playing the game supports that type of behavior. At that point, I log out. I want to talk more about the game itself, though. That way we don't get ourselves sued. Because what brought this up, or maybe what brought it to the forefront, because there have been some things for years now on the allegations topic. What's kind of brought it up into the forefront, though, is that basically Marvel Heroes kind of disappeared as far as communication goes after October 20th. They were supposed to have their regular Friday update. They promised details on Monday, and then nothing. 2 weeks had gone by. There was no update. The Twitter account didn't have shit on it, Troy. The Halloween, there was no event. There was no Halloween event in Marvel Heroes on PC this year.
Yeah, even funnier than that. Of course, this started on October 20th, like you said, where they put out the Friday update saying, "Oh, well, we don't have anything right now. We'll get to you Monday." On October 19th, they were supposed to start their Civil War event, which is now part of their rotation of events, their normal rotation of events, an event that's run multiple times, and they had problems with it instantly. And they just compensated by just giving away things to say we're sorry, which is cool. We couldn't get something run, but there again, it's just something that's run multiple times. It's an event that should just be an on-off switch at this point. They couldn't run. Then October 20th, they didn't get the release out, and then all of a sudden, there's no Halloween event, which, by the way, is also there again. What should just be an on-off switch that they've run multiple times. It's a very simple event. Those of you who have played Marvel Heroes, it's exactly like every event this game does. You just collect a bunch of buffs as you kill things, and then you get a big loot explosion. It's just like every other event. So the fact that didn't run on top of the radio silence, on top of the fact that the Civil War event didn't work, and they just kind of said, screw it, here's some stuff. And then there's folks leaving, and this is just a bad time to be radio silent with the allegations, and then you've got events in your game just not running, not going off. And, everybody's already up in arms because everybody's upset because, the console seems to be getting all the attention. Everybody's like, oh, PC is not getting anything.
It got a console exclusive patch.
They got Halloween.
Like, they have absolutely every right to be upset.
So it's a weird time for them to just up and disappear like they have. And especially saying, hey, we know the Friday update's late, which is not an unusual thing for Gazillion. We've said this thing was going to come out such and such. Oh, we're sorry. It'll be a few more days. We're used to that. I've been dealing with Marvel Heroes for years now. That's a thing that happens consistently. But then to just utterly disappear with no more, it'll be a couple more days. Because what we usually get is on Monday, there would usually be a post, well, we'll get to you by Wednesday. And that would usually roll into the next Friday update. But now it's been 2 weeks of not even saying,
then you get a double update.
They haven't even tweeted since October 19th. Like, not a single thing. And I'm looking at, there's all sorts of stuff before that, through the rest of October, 1 or 2 posts a day. But yeah, since the 19th, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and as if the allegation portion of this wasn't warranting of some type of public statement and tweet, besides having to have Massively OP reach out and extract a comment from you.
And they've asked more questions that they haven't really gotten back
right?
from yet.
Yep. They said Massively OP still has outstanding questions. Setting all that stuff aside, radio silent while the console gets its own exclusive update. They announced a while ago the whole new VR game, which pissed off the PC players too. And then they're talking about unifying everybody under one Marvel Heroes banner by November. And it is now November 2nd. And we have radio silence on when and if that's even going to come to fruition. Jason, I don't know, but it feels like... And Troy, you mentioned this kind of weeks ago where you could see a future where the PC version of this game wasn't around anymore because the consoles was doing so well that they just shifted all the focus. Jason, should this one maybe have been added to your most recent bomb poll?
I was just thinking that, games that aren't going to be around much longer because, I guess if it's still around on console, does that still count? So,
yeah, I think it has to. The allegation stuff could shut them down everywhere. Setting that aside, if it's still on console and the PC goes away, technically it's still alive, I guess. Yeah. But Troy, as a Marvel Heroes player, Jesus, this is awful. When it rains, it pours.
Yeah, we're already to the point where a lot of the folks that were in my super group and that I've played with and streamers that streamed with me back when I streamed it all the time. I logged into a super group the other day, man, and there was like 12 members. This super group used to be hundreds of members strong. There were already people leaving in droves just due to a lack of content, new things coming out. That we were supposed to have a new hero in October. or November at the latest, probably. They're going to say that we probably didn't promise October. But we were supposed to have Odinson like now at this point, which is sort of a new take on Thor. And there has not been a word on that since Carnage's release on PC.
I mean, the Thor movie comes out tomorrow, so
yes, I
always
know. I mean,
time stuff around those.
There's
movies.
no event. There's no hype to try to sell stuff they already have. It's just, I mean, it's already out overseas and it's coming out here this weekend. You would expect them to at least try to make a few bucks off of it, if nothing else. Thor skins, all existing Thor skins on sale. Man, there hasn't been anything even as far as that. Even with the radio silence, even with the lack of a Halloween event, even with Civil War not running right for some reason this time around, you would expect them to be like, hey, dollars, Thor movies coming out, let's make them. And that hasn't been the case either.
Jason, thoughts?
I think it'll still. I could imagine it still being around next year, but in a very different form. Either, like I said, either completely gone from either off the PC, or even could Gazillion sell this if things are so bad with the studio and other various issues? Could they sell it to some other company?
That's an interesting thought, Troy. Seeing this bought by somebody, maybe it should go to Riot. Maybe it should go to Rito. Maybe it should go to Rito Labs.
Dude, grinding gear doing Marvel Heroes. Oh my God, I would probably be pretty happy about that. Not knowing anything about it, I would doubt Marvel leaves that sort of opening in their licensing contracts though, where they can just, oh by the way, like subcontract out our license. I doubt that's a thing. That would be phenomenal if it went to the right studio. But at this point, as a player, as a guy who, when the BUE was happening and console was first announced, was still on the side of Gazillion, was like, hey, you know what? Yes, it's a small studio. PC's not getting stuff right now. They're concentrating on the console. That's going to be good for the long-term life of the game. I was that guy. Even now, at this point, I've come to realize, yes, you know what? Some of you doomsayers back then, you were saying it way too soon. It was way too soon to be calling. But at the end of the day, you were right. That doesn't mean I was wrong at the time. But I mean, here we are, and there's no denying that all the doomsayers nailed it almost verbatim at this point of how they thought it would go down.
Right. Do we have any idea when the Marvel license is up for renewal?
They're always super coy about that. But apparently, when there was some sort of renewal that took place right before the console launch. Because somewhere along the way, they had kept the PC license but lost a console license. So at least the console license has some sort of new renewal on it. But they weren't super clear about whether or not that affected the PC side license. But we do know they did have to go back in and renegotiate for console before they did that.
By the way, just to give everybody an idea on what Massively sent over to them as a way of follow-up, these are some of the questions they asked. I don't know if you saw this, Jason. Who was the second employee who left the studio? Initially, there was some confusion over 2 people leaving. The second employee that left was Agent Vapor. Troy, that's somebody you may know, I guess, from being a player.
Yep.
Is the fact that the 2 community employees left the reason that the radio silence on social media? It kind of makes sense, right? If you have 4 people running your Twitter, your Facebook, and all that stuff, and half that staff leaves, may take a little while to regroup and reassign things. But even then, Jason, how hard is it? Right. Even then, how hard is it to say, hey, 2 people leaving, trying to fill some positions, give us a couple of days while we sort out responsibilities, and we'll be back on Twitter and all that stuff. Like, it's not hard. Why was the Halloween event not deployed? Why was the studio missing why have they missed multiple community updates? And then regarding Dorman, are we to understand that there have not been any cases of reported harassment regarding him? Gazillion's never going to answer that Massively. They're not going to touch that with a stick.
Good on you for actually asking, though.
Yeah, it's one of those questions that you're like, I'm going to ask it so I can say I asked it.
Yeah.
and I don't look stupid. They're just never going to answer that. If they were reported only internally, then that's an HR confidentiality thing. And if there were charges filed, which there may be in certain parts, some people allege charges filed in certain parts of California, then those charges would be a matter of record that we could go and see. Doesn't necessarily mean any convictions or anything. If so, and in the light of the fact that Gazillion implied the public claims are unsubstantiated, are we to understand Gazillion is suggesting the accusations are false? To which Bree, I love Bree, I always have. Bree, big internet hugs. Big internet hugs on that question. Because that whole sentence, Jason, you and I read PR stuff the exact same way. We always do the same thing. I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that. And that one was just, oh my God. Is Dorman still functioning of CEO? Okay, standard question. Who's the community's current point of contact for the game? When will that person be in communication with the player base? Should players be concerned about the game's future on any platform? What about its licensing? Will the November unification project still be going on as planned? And does Gazillion have any plan for addressing the dropping PC player base? Of which I don't think they're going to answer many of those.
Yeah.
I think they're going to leave them all alone until they have a final answer here, Jason. Although, I believe it's the wrong play here for them.
Yeah, I mean, they should at least, like I said, put some sort of statement out there. I mean, I can understand it for a while because, you know, it wasn't all that widely known. A little bit on Reddit, a little bit on social media, whatever. Now, though, I think it's starting to hit the fan, so to speak, and they have to say something. Even if it's a complete denial of everything or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, wasn't it? I mean, we did, and I made the comparison earlier, Jason, to Firefall, and it was the same thing back then. We were like, their silence is going to kill them more than if they just said, we're having problems here, we're having problems here, we want to do this and this and this and this. They just go radio silent, and eventually everybody goes away, whether you had plans to end the game or not, Troy.
Well, you can't ever admit you made a mistake. That would be terrible.
You have to in this situation. You have to. There's some serious allegations against the CEO. And the game has been for months now on autopilot on PC. I don't know how else to put it, Troy, besides on autopilot on the PC.
I'm sure players would love to call it maintenance mode at this point.
Maybe
it's a little harsh. Now, I will have to say this one thing. If you go back and if you're familiar with Marvel Heroes since the beginning, over the past few years, they have never had a long-standing singular policy on communication. They have always been up and down about communication, oversharing, complete silence, oversharing, complete. They are so back and forth on that kind of stuff, and over-promising and under-delivering along the way as well. So, I mean, here recently, yeah, they've been doing a better job of communication. But them suddenly going radio silent, if you look back over the years, isn't the most unusual thing in the world. But man, it is piss poor timing at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What did we... Oh, yeah, last week when we were talking about Activision getting the patent for the matchmaking queue thing, and it was like they'd filed for it years ago. This was really the wrong time, just bad timing to have been granted the patent. This was really bad timing for some radio silence across the board. We're going to stay posted on a lot of this story. I'm sure there's going to be evolution over the next few weeks. There are a lot of players on the PC version, Troy, that I've seen say, you know what, until this is addressed, whether these are allegations, facts, or otherwise, doesn't matter to me. Until it's addressed one way or the other, I am not playing. And you know what? I think I'd be in the same boat with them. I agree with that stance. This is such a serious point. Fix it, and if there's nothing to fix, address it. If there is something to fix it quickly, swiftly, and correctly. And maybe you can come out of this as a company still. Maybe.
All right.
Radio silence. All right. So finishing it off here before we head on over to the bombs. Tartaros, Rebirth. I did a first look. Was it yesterday? The day before? I don't even know anymore. I was grinding for so long that I don't even know when I did the first look. It's an MMORPG just released a couple of days ago through the Game and Game platform. It's one of those, you don't get to create a character, but you control multiple characters, and sometimes when you're doing a campaign, you control multiple characters at the same time, where you can maybe have them in different formations and things like that. You control one, and the other two go do a certain dedicated set of abilities you've given them. I mean, did you guys watch the first look? Did you?
I watched bits and pieces of it. Yeah,
It's here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really impressed by this game. I mean,
Get the fuck out.
no, really, I am amazed that they could invent a time travel portal where they could take this game from 2008, bring it exactly forward with no changes. I mean, I don't know how you. I mean, you think they'd be making the money off the time travel technology rather than worrying about this game. But,
yeah, it looks awful. And I said, I was talking in the first look, it is action type combat in that your abilities have to be aimed, you can get stun locked and things like that. But I made the point that it was not action combat the way you think of action combat, like something like Terra, where it's very smooth and evolved, and there's counters that go into things like that. It's not that. And somebody on the MMO Bomb site said, wait a minute. So you said it was, you can be stun locked, you can be animation locked and stuff like that, but you're saying it's not an action game? No, I didn't say it wasn't an action game, because to me, it's not. It's an MMORPG. But I said the action combat wasn't action combat in the way you think of it, like a Terra or a Vindictus or a Dragon's Nest or something like that. Because to me, I'm sorry, for it to be true action combat, if you're going to animation or stun lock me, Troy, I need to have a counter to that. Otherwise, it's just animation or stun lock. It's not action combat. I'm just saying. To me, I gotta have a counter to that. It looks old, it plays old, it's grindy as shit, and it would just get worse and worse and worse to the point that they sell not just experience boosts in the cash shop, Jason, but boosts for specific characters, so that you can drag those characters in your party that you don't like playing. You can drag them up to the levels that you need them for later content. I give this one a huge thumbs down. I uninstalled it as soon as the first look was rendered and safely uploaded to YouTube, and I verified it was all working. Immediately uninstalled it. It's just not for me. It does have a certain nostalgia charm in some respects, but not enough for me to play it, Jason.
The thing is, actually watching it, I thought of some other anime games I had played before, anime kind of grindy sort of stuff, and I was like, those are just better than this. If I had to play this sort of thing, this is not the one I would pick. I could think of 2 or 3 others I'd rather do.
Will it even play itself for you?
No, it won't play itself for you. It won't do that.
Obviously, that's the problem, is that those games always need to play themselves for you.
I thought it was funny, though, when I was, like, rolling through a little mission, and I was, like, level 3, and I'm like, fuck, it's level 3, just kill all this stuff, and I just barreled through stuff, got surrounded, and animation locked, to the point that I just sat there and watched my character die. I couldn't move, I couldn't trigger an ability, and they just kept hitting me, and my character kept doing this, and whatever, I had 0 counter to it, and then I was like, all right, well, we're not going to run into packs. Lessons learned at level 3. That and the control scheme was really bizarre at first. Like, they gave you this mouse ability where you could just hold the left mouse key and then it auto walks forward and you move your mouse to change direction. All right, little odd, but fine, no problem. Right mouse key, hold it down, that did the same thing except for the camera. Then the alternative, which I thought would have been a keyboard and mouse combo, was actually 2-hand keyboard control. Not even configured the way that you would think. Not movement WASD and then abilities over on the number key. It was swapped. Your movement was your number key arrows, and then your abilities were ZXCV across the bottom of the keyboard. Like, what the hell? I immediately remapped all of that shit to WASD movement. It supports a gamepad, but I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get the damn thing to work. I couldn't even get it to register one single mapped key on the controller. That could have been just me, but whatever. This one's a thumbs down for me. What about you, Troy?
No, dude, it's anime graphics. I'm instantly
But you like grinding Marvel Heroes?
Instantly uninterested in anything that looks anime. It's just not my thing. Never has been, never will be. Sorry.
Jason?
You don't have to tell me the game's bad.
I think the only key binding control I'd be interested in is Alt F4.
Yep, that's about it. Let's slide over to the weekly bombs. All right.
You read mine. Okay, good.
All right, Jason, you can go first.
I want to give a dub bomb to magicman for doing first looks at these games because they are painful enough for me to watch. I can't imagine having to play them. So, dub bomb to you, sir, for going through the effort. For all 91 of the fans on Twitter for this game or whatever it is.
Yeah, and we argue
Congratulations.
behind the scenes on what games, because there's other sites that throw first looks up for everything, including every single mobile clicker waiting game. And we don't want to be that site. So we do have discussions, like if I think, this is kind of on the borderline, I'll see what Jason thinks. You know, should we do a first look on this one? Maybe we'll go and play it together and see, like, can we make it, even if the game isn't that great, can we do something entertaining with it to do a first look, like Grimoire Mana Storm, right? The game was awful, but when we found the debug mode, we were like, we can make an entertaining first look. Let's go. Yeah, some of them are just awful, awful, awful. And I appreciate the bad ones that we can make entertaining through bugs or funny things. This was... the Tartaros Rebirth was not one of those. So thank you. I accept your debomb. And I get that comment a lot on YouTube. It's, thank you for playing this so we didn't have to. We see that a lot.
We appreciate your sacrifice.
Yes. I'm going to give a dub bomb to Dauntless. I teased it a little bit earlier. And Troy, you may like this. They're ditching the Chroma Core loot box system.
Woo!
They're going to go more for a Warframe Path of Exile type approach where you can buy certain things that you may want instead of farming them up, I would presume. Knowing how Dauntless works, I think we would see like crafting mats and things in there that you could farm up in-game or buy, which works for Warframe and such. So... kudos to them. I love
loot boxes. The game is doomed.
I love.
Doomed.
Yeah, it's doomed to failure.
It also makes sense too, because remember how terrible we were with getting the good loot boxes?
Yeah, we couldn't
after matches.
We never once got them to drop. I love the quote that they have here, and this is according to PC Gamer. Executive producer Phoenix Lab co-founder Jesse Houston and Clairo were inspired by an Ars Technica article decrying loot box implementation in Forza 7 to remove chroma cores from Dauntless. I love this quote. Quote, we were just like, yeah, fuck. This article is kind of right. I do not want to build a company that is known for being able to extract capital or some other bullshit out of players. So... kudos to them.
Fucking there was part of the quote. That wasn't just Mike inserting himself in.
That is them. That is them. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Troy.
Sarcasm alert. Dub bomb to Bless Online.
I knew it was coming.
For officially stating they have no monetization plan. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Thank you for continuing to prove me right about the shitstorm that is your game, the incomplete mess that it's going to be when it gets here. They did say no pay to win. Every game says no to pay to win. That hasn't stopped multiple, especially imports, coming over and putting pay to win in their cash shop. That's stopped nothing. They're making the statement for now. They have no plans. They don't know what they're going to do. Loot boxes and at least pay to skip grind. At least.
Yeah,
calling
Jason,
it now.
That reminds me of we have no confident plans for the game's future. Yeah, what game was that a few weeks ago? Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
We keep bringing that up. We need to start remembering what game that was because that was glorious.
From the viewers, Kevin Fleming says, this is why loot boxes, RNG, and microtransactions are such a major part of games nowadays, talking about our Wales viewpoint on loot boxes last week. Morons with more money than sense and companies have realized that these people can be milked dry while everybody else suffers. I don't know if I'd go with morons. You never know somebody's individual situation, but... whatever. I agree with your premise, though, I should say, that if you can get a few whales, the companies go that way. Jason!
It was The Exile, by the way, that said we have no convincing plan for the future of the game.
That's it. Thank you.
Which again falls under that category of maybe your PR guy should have not done that sentence.
Right. Maybe you should consider radio silence.
There you go. All right, Hellsworth says, ha 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 ha, Troy versus Blast, ha ha, I died at something fresh, ha ha ha. The bomb to this week's show, I effing laughed hard and also to bomb the Magic the Gathering Arena. I'm looking forward to it. A-bomb to loot boxes. I mean, hashtag let loot boxes die.
I can get behind that hashtag.
Go ahead, Troy. Take the next one.
Void last week during what is this? Oriented Meteor Shower. I made a wish for Bless Online to be a great game. Good luck with that.
Wish upon a star. Jerry Senseni says, "Up yours, Troy. Bless is back. LOL." Lots of that type of feedback on last week's show.
They're going to be back for about 3 months when they launch.
Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, Sideshow Geek. I'm just reading a little bit of this one. I love it. Bless Online is that damn goldfish that died before you got it home, and every time you flush it, it pops back into the bowl, causing you to flush over and over until it finally stays down. Bless isn't alive, just stubborn. Give it a few more flushes, and that dead goldfish will swim with the turds too. Wow. That is the metaphor of the week. If we gave up a metaphor of the week award, it would go to that.
Go ahead, Troy.
Nintendo. A-bomb, to me, I am bored, like really bored. I have over 300 games on Steam. None interest me. We got hundreds of free-to-play games. None interest me. There's more. A-bomb 2 to Blizzard. Come on, Blizzard. Overwatch season rewards are a joke on the level of all those, quote, and all I got for it was this stupid t-shirt, unquote. The rewards are somewhere between you kidding me and that's it, a bloody icon and spray logo.
That's why you got to grind up those competitive points. You can get your golden weapons.
Yeah.
From Polo Bornfly, A-bomb for Troy. I can't wait till he comes back on and says, "Hey guys, I was wrong. Bless is gonna be better than most MMOs out there. It may not be great, but it's still probably gonna be better than the credit Troy is giving it."
You know what? No matter what, 2018 is going to be interesting on this show. Regardless of the outcome. It's going to be a fun year.
There was some I didn't even put in here, like, how can Troy say so much about Bless, but he plays a crappy game with heroes? Go home.
Which game was that referring to? Crappy game with heroes?
I would imagine Marvel Heroes.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, good point.
Go ahead, Jason.
Michael Loisel says, haha, Troy, they should take your hashtag and name the game like FF14 Realm Reborn to Bless Lives or Bless Forever. Honestly, none of the AAA games are groundbreaking. Looking at indie games, there's a lot, and I can name a lot, but I'll spare you embarrassment. So I'm going to give you an A-bomb, my good sir. Mike V. Troy, 1-0.
Yeah, baby.
Was that how it went in high-low?
There you go.
And he continues, and I'm not rooting for Bless Online to succeed. It seemed cool back in 2015 before Black Desert came out, but watched a bunch of people give impressions on it, and it seems like it was a crappier Revelation Online clone.
That's kind of the same impression I get, too. A couple of years ago, I was interested in it, but I think I've seen a lot of what Bless is probably going to offer now done in better ways.
2015, I was interested in like 2012.
Yeah, I was going to go a little further back than 2015. Go ahead, Troy.
Clay Ross. Also, this will be an unpopular A-bomb, but here it goes. A-bomb for the MMO bomb watchers that are hypocrites about Activision and Epic Games. It's easy, just don't buy it if you don't like the practices.
There you go. Mirg, as a whale myself, I actually like loot boxes when they're done properly. If I had to spend over $100 in cash just to get the most valuable item in that box, then something is definitely wrong. If I had to spend only $10 to $50, meh, okay. But that's if the loot in that box isn't just stuff not worth your time or stuff that'll make you OP. So as a self-professed whale, somebody on the side of loot boxes. As we talked about earlier in the show, last week's question of the week was for you to create your own Frankenstein's monster of a gaming company by combining a couple of companies together for whatever your reasons may be, good or bad. Hellsworth says, I picked my favorite two of the ones... he didn't say this. Hellsworth submitted like 5 things, so I had made a note for myself and then totally forgot that I made a note for myself. Hellsworth put like 5 different ones together. I picked 2 that I thought were pretty funny. So, question of the week. EA, Activision, WB, and Ubisoft. No in-game store would ever work. From bad matchmaking to underhanded shady deals, your front store page would always be some orc rubbing his hands together. Where have I seen that before? Ellsworth's second one was Digital Extremes and From Software. So I kind of dig this one. Digital Extremes from Warframe, From Software, largely known nowadays for the Souls franchise. I think that by mixing Souls type of gameplay with Digital Extremes community management and open-mindedness would produce one of the biggest online titles of this decade. So, Hellsworth, I couldn't read all of yours. I grabbed the one that I laughed the most at and the one that I was a personal favorite of, or a personal fan of. Go ahead, Jason. I love this one. This one's amazing, isn't it?
It's so appropriate.
Ancient Roar, you are my new favorite internet person right now.
Ancient Roar says, how about pairing Gazillion and Marvel Heroes? It used to be a thing 2 weeks ago.
And that is with Ancient Roar having no clue that that was going to be a big news topic on the show this week, obviously. Yep. Go ahead, Troy.
Nintendo, let's slam together Daybreak and EA. We would end up with a subscription-based arcade in which every character can wear every armor type and weapon and learn any skill. But in order to do so, you have to unlock every subclass with a $14.99 DLC. And the end game would be a raid, and in which you have to buy a loot box to get loot from every boss in the raid. Wouldn't that be perfect? On a serious note, the ones I would like to see team up are two that will sound extremely odd, but Google and Turn 10 possibly, supported by Pearl Abyss and Rockstar. Imagine it, a game with the entire world racing the globe or just doing business as a gang boss or so. But why those? Google has the methods and the resources to map the entire world. Turn 10 with Forza Horizon has extremely fun Simcade-ish race car. Pearl Abyss and Rockstar would be there to make the world immersive and even more fun. GTA 5 and Black Desert Hybrid. So basically a global GTA 5 with fun racing and a believable living world. It would be perfect in my opinion. It would explode every computer ever.
Right? I think the image that sticks out in my head the most about that one is saying GTA 5 and Black Desert Hybrid. Like, what does that even look like? Shadow Wolf says, question of the week, mix of Pearl Abyss, From Software Incorporated, and Frictional Games. Pearl Abyss for PvP open world character customization, for Frictional Games, for people who never hear it. They're the developers of Amnesia, The Dark Descent, a psychological horror / survival horror. I want to see horror MMORPGs, PvP and PvE, have story. That's why I pick Frictional Games' focus on psychological horror story and atmosphere. Hey, Jason, look at eBay. Final Fantasy 14 online on Steam for one of my friends, and I note to on tag put down dating sim for Final Fantasy 14 online. I don't know what the last part of that sentence is.
No, I get the way he wrote my name. The formatting on it because of the whole email thing.
Right. All right, go ahead, Jason.
I hate you, Shadow Wolf. Jerry Sensini says, I put Activision, Blizzard, and Tryon together to make an MMO with a $200 fee and a sum of $50 with pay to win as the name of the game.
Wow. Activision I get, but I don't know if I'd put Blizzard in that box. I mean, the loot boxes in Overwatch. We know
they're not pay to win, certainly.
Right.
Whatever.
Go ahead, Troy.
Clay Ross. Man, I'm struggling with words today. I would smash my dream team of Jeff Kaplan's Overwatch dev team and Stephen Frost's WildStar development team and work on a World of Warcraft 2 because make WoW great again.
Man, everything's becoming great again. Shin Wolf says...
Isn't that basically what Overwatch was going to be? It was World of Warcraft 2?
And then WildStar is the same old boring, grindy questing that vanilla WoW was. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you would just be remaking WoW with better graphics.
Shin Wolf says, Pearl Abyss and Blizzard Entertainment. Why, you may ask? I just want to see the world burn. Finish it up, Jason.
But anyway, Bits Turn Byte says, ArenaNet and Digital Extremes. I would want to see them create an MMO or some type of single-player RPG. I think that would be an amazing combination of talent. Yeah.
I kind of agree with that one. Our question of the week this week, will Gazillion at some point soon, obviously at some point the game will die, but I'm talking about in the near future here, will Gazillion drop the PC version of Marvel Heroes? And if so, why and when? That's right, you're not allowed to make just an easy yes or no prediction. Tell us why it's going away and when. if you don't think the PC version's gonna go away soon, what the hell makes you think that? Wait, maybe I put inflection on there that kind of skewed where the question. Maybe that was
a little bit of bias.
Maybe that was a little bit of leading with the question. But let us know your thoughts down below. Of course, while you're down there, make sure you do your weekly bombs. Da bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad. And if you have questions or comments for the panel, throw them down there as well. Maybe we'll include them on next week's show. Until then, Troy, where can everybody find you?
Oh, we're starting over again at twitch.tv/noobfridge. It's been a while since I've streamed full time. Mr. Burns stopped by yesterday.
I did.
You could do so too and help a brother out getting his streaming going again. Thank you.
Yeah, you were playing Guild Wars 2, and there were areas that I didn't even know were in the game. Like,
well,
it was
I did walk outside of Silverway, so I would understand if you didn't recognize.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I thought this game was just the city. I was confused. Jason, what about you?
You can follow me on Twitter at WinterWorldFormal or streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter, where Mike doesn't stop by my streams. The one time I played Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, and I stopped by when you used to play Final Fantasy 14, but then you play games that
I never streamed 14.
You never streamed it?
No.
Was it just 15?
Just 15.
I've stopped by. I watched you crash into ditches in tanks before too.
That was on a video. That was on a first look.
Oh, was it? I wasn't live.
Oh my gosh. No, it wasn't.
I wasn't live?
No, it wasn't.
I stopped by Jason's stream quite often.
Yeah, you did.
Actually.
Yeah, you have.
I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me on Twitter at MagicMan1. While you're there, of course, follow at MMO Bomb so that we can tweet you all the news and updates to everything we've talked about on this show and any news that comes after it. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on Jason's stream and the servers.
You can even subscribe to me. Give me money. Get an icon.
Plug.